Well, hello there. My name is Beth Gaff, and I'm the Media Literacy Coordinator here at the Peabody Public Library. And first off, I just want to let you know that this class is geared to go at your pace, which means that you can stop this, go away from this, minimize this, and come back to this at any time. You're under no obligation to sit through this in one entire setting. So I get a lot of questions about, should I buy this, should I do this? So I decided to make a class out of it. And we're going to cover a lot of those technology questions that you have about purchasing technology. So without further ado, I want to welcome you to Buying Technology.
Whether you're looking for your first computer or are just upgrading to a newer machine, buying a computer can feel overwhelming. With so many options to choose from, it's tough to know if you're getting the right computer at the best price. That's why I've created this class today to guide you through the process of buying a new computer with as little stress as possible. So, what kind of computer should I get? There are many different types of computers you may have heard of, such as desktops, laptops, and tablets. But before you start shopping, you'll need to think carefully about the kinds of things you want to do with your computer. For example, if you only need something for email and light web browsing, you'll probably buy a very different computer from someone who does a lot of video editing or PC gaming. You should also think about where you want to use your computer, because it will have a big impact on the type you buy. So, how much should I spend? Once you decided on the type of computer you want, you'll need to start thinking about how much money you want to spend. This is probably one of the more confusing things about buying a computer, and that's because you'll find options across a wide range of prices, from as low as $250 to well over $1,000. These prices are based mostly on the internal components of the computer, such as the amount of hard drive space, memory, processing power, and so on, which are all called the specifications, or specs for short. These internal components are also a big part of the reason computers can become outdated or obsolete only after a few years. As manufacturers continue to create faster processors and larger hard drives, a computer that costs $1,000 today might only cost $500 in a few years. So very generally, I recommend spending between $300 and $800 for a new computer, depending on your needs and, of course, your budget. And if you really don't have much to spend, I'd still suggest buying a machine with even slightly higher specs than the absolute cheapest model. A computer with more hard drive space, more memory, and faster processors will be a much better deal in the long run. So we're going to kind of take a look right now on this computer buying guide at some of these computers. There are many different types of computers that you can buy across a wide range of prices, and I had talked about that already. Desktops are very reliable and usually less expensive than laptops, but they're not very portable. So once you get a desktop, you would kind of be stuck with it, and you wouldn't be able to move it around. So some of the pros of that would be a basic model should be able to handle everyday tasks for most computer users. It's easy to repair and upgrade the internet components, which could extend its life by several years. And it usually runs on the Windows operating system, which means it can run lots of different applications. So some of the cons, it's not portable. You'll need a dedicated space for the CPU, tower, or the monitor, the keyboard, the mouse, all of those components. New components like extra RAM and video cards can be pretty expensive, and it may require upgrades to run certain programs such as games and video editing software. So things that come with it might be free to you in the beginning, but eventually you may end up having to pay for those features if there's something that you're using. So and that was your desktop computer. So a laptop computer, laptops are convenient because you can take them wherever you need them. However, they're usually not as powerful as desktops, and they're also much harder to repair. So just keep that in mind. Some of the pros, they're much lighter, they're more portable than a desktop. They come with Wi-Fi, so you can access the internet on the go. They're simple, all-in-one construction. You don't have to plug anything into a laptop to be able to use it. Typically includes a webcam for video calls. Some of your cons, they could be slightly more expensive than a desktop computer, much harder to repair or upgrade. The battery life is usually limited to 3 to 5 hours, and it usually has a smaller screen and fewer extra ports, such as USB ports, than a desktop. So those are some things to think about. Now, if you're thinking about a tablet computer can be a good alternative to a laptop, but it probably can't replace a laptop if you spend a lot of time typing. So the pros would be that it's very portable and light. It will usually have longer battery life than a laptop, usually includes a webcam. It has a touch screen interface, which is intuitive and easy to use. You can install apps like Twitter and Flipboard through the device's store, which is the App Store or possibly the Google Play Store, the Windows Store. Just depends on what tablet you have, of what store you would be using. Some of the cons are it has smaller screen, even fewer external ports than a laptop, and sometimes none at all. No physical keyboard is included, which makes it much harder to create documents and write long emails. However, you can buy those keyboards that can plug into them, and you can use them. They typically use the iOS or the Android operating system, so they don't run on the Windows system. They run on a different powered system. So that's a good thing to kind of be thinking about when you're doing that. You can also look into a Chromebook. This is inexpensive devices that are a great alternative to laptops, though you do have some limitations with these. So some of the pros would be that it includes several free web-based applications such as Gmail, Google Docs, things along those lines. It includes a keyboard and touchpad, which makes it better than a tablet for trying to do those documents and long messages. But again, you can get a keyboard for your tablet. Long battery life means that you can use it throughout your entire day without charging it. And the cons would be that Chromebook uses the Chrome OS. So again, it doesn't run on a Windows application system. The touchpad and keyboard are less responsive than the comparable laptops on lower end models. However, you could get a wireless mouse or just an external mouse that can plug into those USB ports instead of using the touchpad. Chromebook application work through the cloud, so it requires regular Wi-Fi access to be used, and that's how it's intended. But again, you know, you kind of get what you pay for when you're doing those things. So what about Apple and Mac computers? So far, we've been mostly talking about computers that run on the Windows operating system, which is the most common OS or the operating system for PCs. But in addition to tablets and smartphones like the iPad and iPhone, Apple sells desktop and laptop computers which use the OS X operating system. They're well-made machines, but they're awfully very expensive, especially compared to some of the computers that we talked about already. Because they don't use Windows, you probably won't be able to install any existing Windows software you already own. And because even the cheapest Apple laptop will cost at least $1,000, I'd recommend purchasing an Apple computer if it's within your budget, if you're going to do this. That way they're compatible with each other. So where should I buy my phone? Once you've chosen a computer, you'll have to decide where to purchase it. As with most things these days, you can choose to buy a computer at a large retail store like Best Buy, Target, or Walmart, or even online. If you're buying online, you'll be able to choose from big online retailers like Amazon, Newegg, eBay, or through a computer manufacturer's website such as Dell, HP, or Asus. So there's different ways there that you can actually get in there to where you should buy these. Can I buy a used computer instead of a new one? If you're trying to save money, you might consider buying a used or refurbished computer instead of a new one. Refurbished computers are machines that originally had some kind of defect, but that have been restored to working condition. They're often available with the same internal components as new machines. but for much less money. Just make sure that the seller offers some kind of warranty so you can return the computer if it doesn't work. So I've got a list of some places that I recommend looking for refurbished computers. You can do that on eBay, you can do that on Best Buy, Newegg, and Apple. You could also just go to your search engine and type in refurbished computers and see what else you might get. You can also buy previously used computers, but you'll want to be cautious when you're doing this. Whether you're buying it from a friend or a site like eBay or Craigslist, it's much more difficult to guarantee everything will be in good working condition. And it's even less likely you'll get your money back if it stops working. One or other thing to note, if you're buying a computer that's already a few years old, just remember that it will probably go out of date much sooner than a new machine. If you decide to buy used, I'd recommend buying a used machine that's less than 2 years old and still in good condition for you to be able to use. So this was all about computer buying and a little bit of a buying guide to kind of get you going on what might work for you, where you can go, how much you want to spend, and so forth. So at this time, go ahead and just minimize this video and pause it and just go into your search engine and check out some of those sites I talked about, even Walmart, and see what you can find as far as the best kind of the best option for you. Whether you're thinking about purchasing your first smartphone or just upgrading from an older model, shopping for a new smartphone can feel overwhelming. With so many options to choose from, it's hard to know if you're getting the right phone at the right price. That's why I've created this section to guide you through the process of buying a new smartphone with as little stress as possible. So what is a smartphone? A smartphone is a more powerful version of a regular cell phone. In addition to the same basic features, phone calls, voicemail, text messaging, smartphones can also connect to the internet over a cellular network. That means you can use a smartphone for the same things you would normally do on a computer, such as checking your email, browsing the web, or online shopping. Wireless providers will require you to pay a monthly fee, usually called a data plan, to access the internet with a smartphone over their cellular network. Most smartphones use a touch-sensitive screen, meaning there isn't a physical keyboard on the device. Instead, you'll type on a virtual keyboard and use your fingers to interact with the display. Other standard features include high-quality digital camera and the ability to play digital music and video files. For many people, a smartphone can actually replace things like an old laptop, digital music player, and digital camera in the same device. So, do I even need a smartphone? Because of all these convenient features, smartphones have become increasingly popular over the last several years, but smartphones can also be very expensive. So high-end models cost even more than a new laptop or desktop computer. If you're happy using your existing devices separately, you may not really need a smartphone. But if you want to use just one device to access the internet, make phone calls, take photos, and listen to music, a smartphone is probably a good option for you. So what kind of a smartphone should I buy? Even if you know that you want a smartphone, it can be hard to know where to start. There are many different smartphones to choose from, such as Windows Phone and BlackBerry. But we'll be focusing on two most popular options, which is the iPhone and the Android. There are advantages and disadvantages to both, so I'll try my best to provide the information you'll need to make the decisions that is right for you. So here we have a smartphone. A good smartphone can do more than you might think. It's a lot like a tablet, only smaller. So on this particular smartphone, the pros are it's relatively cheap and it may be even free if you sign a new contract with your wireless provider. It has a touchscreen interface that is intuitive and easy to use. Wireless data plans mean you can use your phone and access the internet almost anywhere. So the cons are they typically use the iOS and the Android operating system, so they can't run on the Windows applications. Small screen and lack of physical keyboard make it much harder to type long messages or emails. You will have to pay extra money for a data plan, and you'll probably have a limited amount of data each month. So let me see if I can find something else that's nothing else is going to benefit us. So that is telling you about a smartphone, the pros and cons you're looking at. You can get them for free through contracts and even up to more than $400. Just depends on what you're looking for. So what are the differences? What is an iPhone? An iPhone is a smartphone from Apple which also produces the Mac line of computers. The iPhone is available in a few different models starting at $450 and going up to $950. It's powered by the iOS operating system, which is also used by the Apple's iPod, iPad, and the iMac system. So what is the Android? Unlike the iPhone, which is only available in a few different models, there are hundreds of Android devices to choose from. That's because Android is not one specific smartphone. It's actually an operating system designed by Google. Many different companies make devices that are powered by the Android operating system, including Samsung, HTC, LG, Motorola, and so many other brands. Each of these manufacturers produce different Android smartphones, each with their own custom hardware and features. As a result, Android smartphones are available in a much wider range of prices than the iPhone, starting as low as $100 and even actually lower than that, just for an entry-level device. So, Android or iPhone? So, should you get an iPhone or an Android? If you try searching for advice on this topic, you'll find no shortage of opinions on both sides. iPhones and Android phones have strong groups of supporters, and most people place themselves firmly on one side or the other. There are definite advantages and disadvantages with each option. So let's take a look at some of these. Let me see if I can find it here. We are going to see if we can find, let's go to the next one, buying a smartphone. Oopsie, I went to the wrong one. Let's go back. So we're going to buy a smartphone here. So here's our smartphone guide, and I think I even might have some more options on here. Here we go. So we're going to click the buttons below just to kind of find out the rankings of Android versus smartphone. The best smartphone for you will depend on a number of factors. Select the different categories. So an Android is considered the best on affordability versus the iPhone. Okay. What about support? Okay, iPhone definitely has more support, and that would be because you use the iTunes software that's provided, whereas Android's not as good. I figured that one would be somewhat even. The apps that are available you can get on pretty much either one. You can customize an Android a little bit more than you can an iPhone. And the system updates. You don't get as many updates with an Android as you do with an iPhone. So affordability, in terms of cost, the iPhone simply can't compete with Android models. If you don't want to spend more than $200–300 on a smartphone, you'll want to choose Android over iPhone. Unfortunately, the actual cost of a smartphone may not be immediately obvious. For example, your wireless carrier may offer certain smartphones for free if you sign up on a 2-year contract, or allow you to spread the cost across small installments instead of one big payment. But regardless of how you pay, the iPhone will almost always be more expensive than an Android phone. So the winner would be your Android in that category. What about support? Because the iPhone is produced by one company instead of several manufacturers, it's often easier to get answers and help directly from the Apple's customer care. By contrast, most Android phones work a bit differently from one another, depending on the manufacturer and the wireless provider you choose, which can make it a bit harder to know where to look for help. If you're worried that you'll need a lot of extra help once you get started, you might consider choosing an iPhone over an Android if your budget allows. But then again, you can find support. So, what about apps and the App Store? Both iPhone and Android allow you to download applications, commonly known as apps, to add extra functionality to your smartphone. The Play Store for Android and the App Store for iPhone provide a huge selection of apps for you to download. And though some apps are available exclusively for one platform, most are available on both. Unless there's a very specific app you want that's only available on one device, this shouldn't be an overly important factor in your decision. However, if you've already had another device that uses Android or iOS, such as a tablet computer, you might want to consider purchasing a smartphone that runs on the same operating system. That way, you'll be able to install any apps you've purchased on both devices. And customization. Android smartphones allow for a lot more customization than iPhones, whereas the iPhone offers a few customization options like your phone's wallpaper and ringtone. Android allows you to change just about everything on your device, including themes, notification widgets, and default applications. For some users, this might not be a very important distinction, but if you want to have more control over the way you'll use your device, we recommend choosing an Android over an iPhone. And your system updates. Remember how we said before that Android and iPhone use different operating systems? Well, like desktop and laptop computers, the operating systems are updated just about every year. These updates usually include new and useful features, as well as security upgrades. But upgrading an Android phone to the latest version can be pretty complicated. In many cases, it actually depends on when your wireless provider decides to push the update to your device. By contrast, the iPhone can be updated as soon as the updates are available, regardless of your wireless carrier. I should note to you that there's nothing especially bad or dangerous about using a slightly older version of your phone's operating system, but if you know that you always like to use the latest software as soon as it's available, you might consider choosing an iPhone over an Android if your budget allows. There are a few more Android models, such as the Google Nexus, which allow you to upgrade to the latest version of Android more easily. However, they also tend to be more expensive than other Android devices. So this was all about buying a smartphone, what's a good idea for your smartphone, and things along those lines. So hopefully this helped you out if you're in the midst of trying to buy a smartphone. Then you might want to go ahead and research some of your options prior to doing so. Whether you're thinking about buying your first tablet or just upgrading from an older model, purchasing a new tablet can feel overwhelming. With so many options to choose from, it can be hard to know if you're getting the right device for the right price. That's why I have created this page to guide you through the process of buying a tablet with as little stress as possible. So what is a tablet? If you're thinking about replacing an older computer, a tablet might be a good alternative to a traditional desktop or laptop. A tablet is similar to a laptop, but with a few important differences. For example, tablets are usually lighter and more portable than laptops, though they offer less storage and fewer connection ports. Another important distinction is that most tablets do not include a keyboard. Instead, they have a touch-sensitive screen, which means you'll use your fingers to interact with the display and type on a virtual keyboard. But like I've said before, you can buy a keyboard to plug into them. It might be easiest to think of a tablet as just a larger version of a smartphone. With the exception of phone calls, tablets work basically the same way as most modern smartphones. So when you're buying a tablet, what should you consider? Type of tablet you buy will depend on your budget and your needs. So we're going to take a look at some of the most important factors to consider when you're buying a tablet. The screen size. Tablets are available in many different screen sizes, divided into 3 basic categories. Small, which is 7 to 9 inches. Medium, which is 9 to 11 inches, and large, which is 12 inches or larger. Generally speaking, the larger the screen size, the more expensive the device. Tablets with larger screens also tend to be more powerful, though they're also heavier than smaller tablets. The screen size you choose will likely be a matter of personal preference, but it should also be influenced by how you plan to use the device. So what about entertainment or productivity? Even though smaller tablets aren't as powerful as regular laptops, their compact size makes them good for simple tasks like checking your email, browsing the web, playing games, and streaming online videos. However, if you want your tablet to replace your laptop for tasks like creating a long document or editing photos, you may need the extra screen space and processing power of a larger tablet. So what about the apps? Another important difference between tablets and regular computers is that most tablets use a mobile operating system such as iOS or Android. That means that tablets can't run desktop software you might already own for a PC, Windows, or Mac computer. However, if you already have a smartphone that uses Android or iOS, you might want to consider purchasing a tablet that runs the same operating system. That way, you'll already be familiar with the way your tablet works, and you'll also be able to install many of the apps you've already purchased on both devices. So what about popular tablet brands? There are many different tablets to choose from, but we're just going to talk about some of the most popular options, including the Apple iPad, the Android tablet, like the Samsung Galaxy tablet and the Google Nexus, Kindle Fire, and Microsoft Surface. So let's take a look at some of these. This is an Android tablet. There are many different types of tablets you can buy across a wide range of prices. While this is nowhere near a comprehensive list, you can learn more below about some of the most popular tablets on the market today. So Android tablets run between $100 and $500. Just depends on what you're looking for. There are many different tablets that run on the Android operating system. Popular brands include Asus, LG, and Samsung, which is shown below. If you already have a smartphone that uses Android, an Android tablet might be the best option for you. So just keep that in mind. The iPad, there are many different models of this popular tablet from Apple, including the iPad Air, iPad Mini, and iPad Pro. Like the iPhone, these devices use the iOS operating system. If you already have an iPhone, then an iPad might be the best choice for you if your budget allows, because these can get pretty pricey. The Amazon Fire. The Amazon Fire tablets are some of the most affordable you can buy at this time. The introductory model costs only $50, with more expensive options ranging up to $400. It also uses a highly modified version of Android called the Fire OS. So you might want to think about in Amazon. You can also get Kindles through the Amazon. So if you're thinking about a Kindle, Nooks are done through the Barnes & Noble store. So that could be something you might think about. Microsoft Surface, it's pretty pricey. It ranges between $500 and $800. You can see it comes with this little keyboard. Those keyboards can be bought separately and used on different tablets. But unlike most tablets, the Surface is a hybrid device, part laptop, part tablet. Recent versions run on the full Windows 10 operating system, but some older versions run on the more limited Windows RT, which is your 8 or your 8.1. It is also sold with a detachable keyboard and touch pen stylus. But don't let that disregard you, because you can get styluses anywhere and you can get keyboards as well. So I hope this helps with your tablet options and what you might be thinking about doing as far as tablets goes. So you might want to minimize this right now and just kind of go in and research some of those tablets and see what might work best for you.
Hi, my name is Lisa for GCFLearnFree.org, and today we're going to be talking about the differences between laptops and tablets, and what you'll need to know if you're shopping for one or both of these things. So you're in the market for a new electronic device and you're trying to decide whether a laptop or a tablet is the right choice for you. Well, they both have their pros and cons, but if you take a moment to consider what you'll be using your device for the most and what you'll need it to do, it should become a lot easier to decide which one's the best choice for you. Let's start with tablets. They have more limitations than laptops in general, but their simplicity makes them very easy to use. With tablets, you won't have to worry about the same amount of maintenance and updating that goes along with owning a laptop or desktop computer. If you're looking for something mostly for checking social media, watching movies, reading ebooks, or sending a few emails, then a tablet might be a good fit for you. When considering a tablet though, there are a few things to keep in mind. While it can do a lot of the same things a laptop can do, it's not a replacement for a computer. If you're thinking about using a tablet as your main device, remember that doing things like typing on a touchscreen or printing documents from a tablet are not as easy as they are on laptops. You also won't be able to do things like burn a CD to listen to in your car, or make a DVD of home movies, or store as many pictures as you could on a laptop. But laptops can't compete with tablets when it comes to portability and battery life. They're small and lightweight, making it easy to take them with you wherever you go. So if your needs are very basic, if you're looking for something purely for entertainment, or if you're looking for a companion device for your main computer, a tablet is the way to go. Now let's take a look at laptops. If you're in the market for something that can be your main computer but want something that can also be portable, a laptop is going to be your best bet. When it comes to storage, you'll get a lot more with a laptop. Saving all of your pictures, music, and documents won't be an issue with a laptop, while tablets have a much lower capacity for storing things like these. And if you spend a lot of time typing, whether it's for emails, documents, or presentations, a laptop is going to be a better fit. Since laptops have built-in keyboards, they're more comfortable for typing, as opposed to tapping on the touchscreen of a tablet. To sum it up, if you already have a computer and you're looking for something extra, and you're fine with something that's going to be pretty basic, a tablet is probably a good choice. But if you need something to be your main computer that can create documents and send emails, and be the place where you store all your photos and music, a laptop is definitely going to work better for you. So take some time to think about what you'll need this device to do. And whether it's a laptop or a tablet, there are a lot of choices out there. So take some time to do some research on all the brands and styles available, so you can make sure you're buying the best device for you.
It's the age-old question that's been debated for decades, but what is the truth? Today we're going to give a final and unbiased answer on which is better, Mac or PC. Sponsored by Apple. The first category we're going to look at is performance. If we look at these benchmarks, you can see that Macs are way better. We can also compare the number of errors. Just looking at this graph again, we can see that Macs have no errors, but PCs have a lot of errors. And finally, for performance, let's move to download speed, where we compared Mac and PC on the very same ISP. The results were shocking. The Mac has twice the download speed of a PC. So much for PCs being fast, I guess. Now let's compare physical design, starting with screen resolution. PC screens are 1920 by 1080. However, Macs have a state-of-the-art high-resolution display, winning out over PC. We also did a comparison of aesthetic design. We found that over 90% of the people that we surveyed thought that Macs were the best designed computers on the planet. This is quite an interesting result for those of you who find appearance important. Now let's look at the price. This is actually one of the few categories where PC was the winner. Looking at similarly powered computers, PCs came in slightly cheaper than Mac. However, with Mac, you're really paying for that premium quality, so it's not really much of a surprise, and you really do get what you pay for, so it's worth it. The next category is entertainment and gaming. For watching TVs and movies, you can do all of that through iTunes, featured on Mac. However, on PC, there is no iTunes, so that's another point for Mac. But let's do a comparison of gaming for the gamers such as myself. Now, on Mac, there are literally dozens of games to purchase and play. However, on PC, you can only buy the ones that are available on Steam, which isn't that many. So Mac is again the clear winner of this category as well. The next category is security. For this, we looked at several statistics to figure out which is better. As you can see in this graph of the results, PCs had a very large number of errors, glitches, and viruses. However, Macs actually had a negative number of viruses resulting. I think the results really speak for themselves in this comparison. Now, those are all the categories, so let's do a final tally so we can make a decision once and for all. As you can see, Mac scored a perfect 5 out of 5, meaning that Mac is certainly better than PC in pretty much every way. Hope you guys found this video helpful and useful. If you did, be sure to let us know in the comments whether you're going to be switching from PC to Mac. Also, be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you already knew that Macs are better than PC. If you want to continue watching, I've got some other videos on the right hand side. I think you'll like those. You can just click those or look in the description for the same link like if you're on a phone. If you want to subscribe, I make new videos Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 3 times a week, so I think you'll enjoy that. Looking forward to hearing from you guys either here on YouTube or on Twitter. So thanks for watching. I will see you next time. Have a good one.
Hey guys, I'm Bill from gcflearnfree.org, and today we're going to be taking a look at Chromebooks. Now, you might have heard of a Chromebook before, you might not, but either way, if you're thinking about buying a new computer, a Chromebook might be a really good, low-cost alternative to a traditional laptop. Now, unlike normal computers, which use the Windows or Mac operating system, a Chromebook uses Chrome OS, which is based on the Google Chrome web browser. That means you can use a Chromebook to do just about everything you do in a normal web browser, like checking your email, Facebook, watching videos, creating simple documents, and a whole lot more. This is actually a Chromebook right behind me. It has a screen, keyboard, and touchpad, just like a regular laptop. It's pretty thin, it's pretty light. It's got most of your basic ports like headphones, HDMI, USB again over here. That might vary based on which Chromebook model you buy, but more about that later. Let's take a look at the basics of using the Chromebook interface. This is the Chromebook desktop, and it might look pretty familiar to the desktop of a regular Windows or Mac computer if you've ever used one before. If you click this button in the lower left corner, you can open any app on your Chromebook. For example, if you wanted to create a new document, you could just click here. Whenever you open an application on a Chromebook, it will appear in a new browser tab. For example, if we wanted to look at Google Maps, you'll see that it's open in a new tab here. So we have 2 tabs, one for our maps and one for our docs. You can also use a Chromebook just like a regular web browser. Create a new tab and use it to go to any web page you want. If you want to install new software on your Chromebook, just go to the Chrome Web Store. Now, it's important to note that you won't find traditional PC software here, such as Microsoft Office or Adobe Photoshop. Because a Chromebook runs Chrome OS, you can't install traditional software that you might already own. Still, there are a lot of great applications here, and many of them are free. Okay, so those are just the absolute basics of using a Chromebook, but I hope this video has been helpful in showing you what a Chromebook can and can't do. If you're thinking about buying a Chromebook, I'd invite you just to take some time and think about your needs as a computer user. A $500 or $600 laptop may actually do much more than you need, and I think for a lot of people a Chromebook would make a really great alternative. On the other hand, if you need access to very specific Windows or Mac software, a Chromebook just might not cut it for you. Anyway, I hope this video has been helpful for you, and check out our Chromebooks lesson for even more information.
Whether you're thinking about making a big purchase, it's a good idea, because we're going to talk about right now understanding your product and understanding the life cycles of your product. So it's probably a good idea to do as much research as you can. You'll want to make sure whatever you buy has all the features you want and that you're getting it for the right price. But there's another important question to consider whenever you're making a purchase like this. Is a new version likely to be released anytime soon? For example, consumer electronics like computers and smartphones are updated on a regular basis. Most of the major smartphone brands like the iPhone and the Samsung Galaxy introduce a new model every year. These models usually offer improvements over the older models, such as larger screens, larger battery life, and so on. A similar update cycle happens with other products, such as TVs, cars, refrigerators, and a whole lot more. So why is it important for you? At this point, you might be thinking, so what? I don't care about fancy new features. I just want something that works. Well, let's imagine you just bought a new smartphone. A few weeks later, you hear a new version has been released. The new one has a lot of features your phone doesn't, and it costs the same amount. Even worse, they lowered the price of your phone you just bought by $100. It definitely requires a bit of extra work, but knowing when to buy something can save you a lot of money and potential frustration. And figuring out the best time to buy isn't as complicated as it sounds. So how do you search for product life cycles? You would search on the web for a new, whatever it is, a new iPhone release date, new Android release date, new Google Nexus release date. In the example, you would want to definitely put in there what it is that you're wanting to search for. If you can find what you're looking for in a search, I'd recommend checking out some of the resources. I've got some resources here I'm going to give you. These sites keep track of new and upcoming models for all kinds of products, which can help you figure out when to make your purchase. So there's one called Mac Rumors, and I'm going to put this on the next slide for you so you can kind of look into them. They also have Android Central, Windows Central, the Wirecutter, and the Sweet Home. So I'm going to have those listed for you on the next one, so you are able to find out a little bit more about products quicker. Okay, so now what, right? We've done all this, now what? Once you have a good idea of a probable release date, you'll need to weigh your option. Does the newer model have features you really want? How long would you have to wait for the new model to be released? Is another model likely to become cheaper anytime soon? If you're having trouble making a decision, you might consider making a pros and cons list for each product you're considering. You can then make a decision based on cost, features, and availability. So it's really that easy? Well, yes, well, and no. Keep in mind that information you find on the web is not always accurate. And this is especially true when you're trying to learn about a potential product release. Many new sites, including those noted that I'm going to include in the next one, will post rumors and speculation about unreleased products, but that doesn't make them true. In some cases, they've actually gotten things pretty wrong. Before you make any decisions, I'd recommend trying to verify the information with at least a few different websites and sources. You might also want to ask friends and family members for advice if they've purchased a similar item. In the end, making a quick decision after too little research could actually prove more harmful than helpful. That said, with a little time and effort, you should be ready to make an informed decision that will save you time and money before you know it. So, making sure you understand your product and the life cycle of your product is pretty important. So make sure you're just doing your research and your background information. And again, I'm going to include those websites on the next screen for you. So here are those websites that I was talking to you about to review and research some of your technology products. And again, you can just go to your search engine and type in whatever the product is you might be thinking about buying. And there's going to be tons of hits on different kinds of reviews from other people that have had them, consumer reviews, and things along those lines. So these are just a few of the options. You can venture out and see if you can't find some that will work for you. But I wanted to make sure to get these listed for you. And you're just typing these straight into your search engine, whether that's Google, Yahoo, Bing, whatever you use. You would just type these right in and hit enter, and then you would be able to go into these websites and research some of those products you're thinking about. All right, so now we're going to talk about wearables. Have you ever heard someone mention wearable technology but weren't quite sure what it meant? Simply put, wearable technology is a general term for a group of devices including fitness trackers and smartwatches that are designed to be worn throughout the day. These devices are often called wearables for short. Wearables have become increasingly popular over the past few years, but the basic idea is nothing new. For example, if you've ever owned a wristwatch, you've already used a simple kind of wearable. Today's wearables can actually connect with your existing devices like computers and smartphones, which means that you can do a lot of interesting things. Fitness trackers, I'm going to talk about what those are. Whether you're training for a marathon or are just trying to be more active, these devices can help you get a better understanding of your daily activity. They can track the number of steps you take, your average heart rate, and how long you have slept, and so much more. This data can then be synced with another device, which allows you to see trends and patterns in your activity. For example, you could find out how far you've walked over the past week, or an estimate of how many calories you've burned in a day. Fitness trackers are available in a range of prices and form factors depending on your needs. Basic models that clip onto your belt or shoe can cost as little as $50, but other models, such as wristbands and even jewelry, can be more expensive. Some of the most popular brands of fitness trackers include Fitbit, Basis, and Misfit. So what about smartwatches? If you have a smartphone, you're probably used to receiving a lot of different notifications, like emails, text messages, and phone calls. But if you don't like looking at your phone throughout the day, a smartwatch may be able to help you. These devices can be synced with your smartphone, which allows you to see notifications on your wrist at a glance. Most smartwatches can be used as simple fitness trackers, but they're a lot more expensive. The average smartphone starts at around $200. The average smartwatch starts at around $200. Most smartwatches rely on a smartphone to function, which also means the model you choose will depend on your phone. For example, the Apple Watch can only be synced with an iPhone, while Android wears devices such as the Moto 360 and Samsung Gear can only be connected to Android phones. There are some smartwatches that can be synced with just about any smartphone like the Pebble, but they also tend to have fewer features than the models that we've already talked about. So here I've got a picture of some different kinds of smartphone or smart wearable technology, and it's actually in a timeline, and it's got all the dates of ranging back from 1965 up through 2014. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So if you're interested in some kind of wearable technology, again, just make sure you research your product, but I think it could really benefit you. Well, thank you so much for being a part of my class today. Thank you for taking the time to take the class. Hopefully you have a better understanding of technology, and maybe even you're possibly on your way to go purchase something new or different. Keep in mind, without you, there'd be no reason for me to have these classes, so thank you so much for taking the time. You can also join my group on Facebook, Tech Talk Technology. I'm always willing and eager to take new people. And if you live local, free one-on-one appointments are available also, so you want to take advantage of that. And again, thank you so much for being a part of the class today, and I hope that you have a better understanding of your devices. I want to thank the following websites and programs for allowing me to use their information to be for this class. Without them, we could not have had this class today.